And we're live. Okay. Hello, everybody. Oh, no, we got to listen to the music. Damn it.
Music. I paid £42 for this.
Two vets, two different worlds, one badass show. Center Mass with Rob and Silent J, blowing your mind away on the Vets Own Media Network.
Great.
Now can I talk? Now I can talk. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Center Mass with Rob and Silent J. I'm Rob.
I am Silent J.
And apparently I'm not very good with timing. So, welcome back, everybody, and thanks for joining us. We got a lot to go over today. This is going to be a kind of heavy and probably a little heated one. So if you don't have a drink in your hand yet, please grab one. And hopefully by the end of the show we can have you throwing it against the wall. I think that'll be a good one because there's a lot of stuff to talk about. There's a lot of stuff going on, I think, both of our lives right now. I like that Joe named the show World Takeover because I think it's pretty appropriate. But I don't know, Joe, did you name it World Takeover because of the stuff that's been going on with me recently, or because I'm a Mason, or just because of the stuff we all do in general?
Because of what we do in general, and then when we had our conversation the other night, it's just I hate to be a fluffer for you and your ego, but damn, you do a lot, and I'm trying to do a lot.
Well, you know, that's the thing, and I got in a very heated argument with someone last week. This is one of those people that, how can I put this? Confidence in a woman is very attractive. I love Asian women. I think I haven't made any qualms about that. I love Asian women. But I'm not the kind of guy that loves subservient Asian women. Like, I'm not that guy. I think a lot of guys that go after Asian women do, and they do want that, like, stereotypical Asian woman that is quiet, subservient, you know, yes, let me get your slippers. I don't like that. And again, I've talked about that before on this show, sadomasochist. Like, not only do I like Asian women with really nice curves, which drops it down to about 0.05% of the population, but I also like Asian women with curves that are very confident and very, like, punch you in the mouth when you get out of line, right? So I really, really like that.
If has curves, she should be confident because she's only that 0.2% of the population of Asian women.
But here's the thing. Confidence, extreme turn-on for me. Mm-hmm. Arrogance, total turn-off. Total turn-off. And there is a fine line sometimes, but there really is. And I got in an argument with this girl because she was way over the line. She was just totally arrogant. Totally arrogant. And we got in this argument with her because she was saying, what was she saying? She was like, I can't believe at 34, like, you haven't done anything, and you're just let life happen to you, right? A little backstory, like, this girl and I, we work together, and she and I give each other shit pretty heavily, right? Like, sometimes it's joking, and sometimes it borders on just very much straight up insulting each other, and not for anybody's bettering, just to do it, just because we can insult each other. And she was like, man, at 34, you really don't have your shit together. Like, you got blah, 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 and you haven't really done anything with your life, and blah, 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 blah.
She said that to you?
Yeah, she said that to me, and I was like, all right, hold the phone here for a second. Like, I don't like to talk about myself very often, and that's, you know, when I do these financial seminars for my company, I have to there's somebody that, whatever you call it, opens up for me and goes on and talks about all these things. I blush, right? Like, I can't. The people that do this, like, they'll always ask me for a bio, right? Like, tell me a little bit about yourself. I'm like, I can't. I'm just not good at talking about myself. Just go ask that guy because he knows, and I'll lead them to somebody else on my team that would give them, like, the bullet points because I just can't talk about myself. I'm not that kind of person. But with this girl, I was like, hold on a second, hot sauce. Like, all right, so number one, insulting, that's cool. You want to hit low blows? I don't give a shit. We can play your mama jokes all day long. Even though my mom's dead, we can play with that. I don't give a shit. But if you're going to accuse me of letting life...
Military, low blows is a normal way of life in the military. You know, just see what you're made of.
Gotta be, right? You got to have thick skin or else you're in the wrong place.
Yeah. But
that was a little bit for me. Like, there's a lot of things that I'll play with. I'll go back and forth with a lot of stuff. But this, like, hearing that, like, you don't do anything, like, you just sit on your ass all day, and I'm like, woman, I get 5-6 hours of sleep a night, because I'm moving, constantly going. even when I'm sleeping, I'm dreaming about what I should be doing when I wake up. Like, and her thing was like, by 34, my husband had his shit together more than you. This is coming from a woman that the week before had told me she had to write her husband's resume, had to write a letter to the company that he works for now. And I was like, why is it that now when you're trying to insult me, your husband's awesome, but last week your husband basically drooled on himself and had to wear a special helmet to class? And I was like, at 34...
And not by naming them or who you're talking about, I would assume that this individual may have only done stuff very similar in life. You know, where like, take you or I or a few of our other buddies that we know. We've done different things way off topic from, they're not related at all. Military, writing this, that, to finance with you. It's just like none of them have a set pattern. So it's like I think we're good. I think we're like life chameleons. Like every 5 years we shed our skin and do something completely different. So it's very hard to compare somebody who might have a mundane life, who prepped for something from the age of 18 to 22 and then worked for that. Okay, they're 34, they may be successful, but they've only, blinders on.
I really like that. Brian Dolch, if you're listening, can you please make a shirt that says Life Chameleon? I will wear that shit until it completely wears out. That's all. That's going to be the topic for the day, or the theme for the day. But yeah, that's the thing. And like I try to live my life with no regrets, right? And I never want to regret anything that I ever did. But that is like a part of me goes, wow, like if I hadn't taken that 10 years off, that 10-year break from college, because I owned a business when I was in college, and then I got out of college, and I should have kind of gone into the business world, but there was a big 10-year period in my life where instead of going into business and doing, what other people were doing for that 10 years, I was shooting motherfuckers in the face, so it's a little different, right? You can't really put that on a resume like that and try and go get a job at PricewaterhouseCoopers or something like that. It's a little bit different, a little bit of a different a job skill, I guess. But most people listening to us on Vets on Radio or Vets on Media will be able to identify with that, I think. And that is one of the things that I think becomes the biggest issue for a veteran trying to transfer from military into the civilian world is that, you're going up, you get out of college, maybe you do go back to school, you're getting back into the workforce at 34, 35, 40, and your experience level for that business is at about the same level as people that are getting out of college, even though your leadership and your management experience is way above everybody else. Way above. I mean, that's anytime, and I have a hard time understanding employers that don't prefer to take vets over other people, especially in management, because you look at it and you go, okay, what do you think makes a better management experience and better management level background? Would it be the guy that had to tell his employees to, I don't know, maybe use a different break room or help them transfer to a new building or maybe even furlough them one day a week? Or the guy that had to send his guys on a mission that there was like a 60% probability they weren't going to fucking survive? Like, which one of those do you think makes a better leadership experience? But still, people in the civilian workforce don't get it.
And especially positions or jobs that high, I'm not going to say stress level, but deadlines, like extreme deadlines constantly. Military, we're used to that. Like, okay, here's the mission. Then all of a sudden, okay, it's going to change. Okay, we said 20 minutes, but now you had to be gone 20 minutes ago. And it's like I think we're used to rapid fire changes in the workplace. And I look at that, like, vets are very, very well tuned to adapt. I have some friends that are in the civilian sector, private sector, and just you change one little thing in their routine, and they're just out of there. Tripping over my tongue.
That's one of the things that, if you're going to talk about what do people think about the military and what's the reality, what's the ground truth about the military, people expect military because military people are very regimented, right? So we are, like, that's the way that I am. I have a method for everything that I do. There's a time and a place. There's a place for everything, and everything has a place. I try to do the same thing at the same time in the same way using the same steps every day. I put my keys in the same exact spot every day. I fold my underwear the same way every day. I do things in the same method because that's the same thing with combat. For people that don't understand combat, your brain goes out the window. Your brain, gone, right? Logic, gone. You do have to, you got to fall back on your training. And that's why they say training like a fight, because if I keep the same stuff in the same place on the same body armor all day, every day when I train, then when I start getting shot at, or my buddy just died, or the truck got blown up and I can't hear, and maybe I've got a bullet in me already, I don't have to think about, oh yeah, where do I keep my frag? It's there. I know it's there because it's always there, and I don't have to think about that. I can just go to it and grab and throw it. And I think that's one of the big things about us, but that's a big common misconception about the actual military. And that's one of the things that I talk to people about when they ask me about the military. The biggest thing it trains you for is fluidity, which is crazy because the civilian sector, the private sector, doesn't have that at all. You're right, because that's exactly what you said. The private sector, they get bent all out of shape the second things start getting off kilter. But the military, you create very structured and rigid plans and just know that they're going to change, probably 10 times.
Yep, and the fact that when it does go out of whack in the military, that's normal. We expect it to go out of whack, and they're like, okay, I have a contingency plan for this. I have A, B, and C I can choose from because this, we had a meltdown because of this. So it's like always thinking 5 steps ahead. My girl doesn't like it because I am kind of a stickler when it comes to stuff like that. It's like, I don't know. I just Sammy Safety over here. The constant NCO in life. So,
Well, I don't know, man. I think that's one of those things when you want to get down to like the deep, like counselor, like psychological level about that. It's because we want to control what we can control, because we realize probably better than anybody else, there's a whole lot of shit out there we can't control. So we want to anything that we can. If there is just 5 minutes out of my day that I can be 100% certain I am in control of, whatever it may be, get in the shower, rinse, lather, repeat, then I do my shampoo, then I do my, whatever it is. If it's, getting in my car and left blinker, right blinker, this light, turn off, AC, go, whatever it is, at least that's my thing that I know I can control in my life. And I think that's where a lot of divorces happen in the military, because you got guys that really want to control something, and a lot of us are attracted to women that are also very headstrong, and it doesn't matter if it's male or female. You can't have 2 alphas in the same room. It's beta fish. Put 2 beta fish in the same thing, they're going to eat each other. And that's God's cruel joke. Like, if you're only attracted to stubborn assholes and you're a stubborn asshole, good luck with life, buddy. Like, it's going to be fun. But
so whatever happened with this girl? Did you throw a cup of hot coffee in her face?
No, we had a cooling off period. We had to cool it off because we were getting pretty. I was a little upset because I thought that was like a personal remark. But there's a book that I read. It's called The 177 Mental Toughness Secrets of the World Class. It's by Dave Siebold. It's a really good book. It's it's 177 chapters that are these like. He went through and studied basically what he calls the world class. There's lower class, middle class, upper middle class, upper class, and then what he calls world class. Doesn't just mean you're wealthy. It means you create your own destiny. It's these people that, what's his name? Shark Tank, Mavericks owner.
Mark Cuban.
Mark Cuban, right? Mark Cuban doesn't ever wake up and wait for somebody else to tell him what to do. He creates his own destiny, right? That's what he considers the world class to be. One of the big ones that I really, really like is the world class doesn't get offended even when it's intended, right? It's one of these things where even if somebody's like constantly just shouting insults at you, that whole be the bigger man, right? That whole idea. I never took that too seriously until now, but now with the things that I'm going through in my life, I really kind of understand sometimes you got to be. It is, and it's amazing how. I don't know, how redeeming, how enlightening it is to just watch someone and allow them to get bent out of shape and bent out of shape and bent out of shape. And if you don't pick their hook, if you don't take that hook in their mouth and let them grab you and bring you into their bullshit, it's amazing to watch how much more angry it makes them, right? Like, watch people just break down and lose their shit right in front of your face when they realize, I don't have time for your crazy bullshit. I'm not letting you pull me into this. It's amazing to do that. So I really tried that with her, but it got to the point where, like, when she pulled that out, I was like, hey, hot sauce, no, ma'am. I'm not going to let you, no, you're not going to let that one go. And so I bit on that. And I think when people see me react now, because I've been so non-reactive, like always take the high road, always pull out on that, when somebody in the office saw me start to bite, they were like, okay, you guys need to stop talking to each other for a little while. But, yeah. I don't know. That's the funny thing, like, talking about that. This is like what our conversation was earlier. You know, it's interesting. I've had, I don't know, at least over the last decade, I've had a lot of people tell me I should go into politics. And it's just, I always have jokingly kind of responded like, well, you know, I just have way too many skeletons in my closet. That's always been my kind of response, because
I like you too much.
Yeah, that's what it is. I have too much respect, I think, for my family, and I think I know my kids have too much respect for me, and unfortunately, and this is the sad state of politics in our country today, people that would be the best don't go into it because they know that's all it's going to be. Is that at some point it's going to become nothing but whoever the opposing side is pouring hundreds of $1,000s into people just going through your background, trying to find anything they can, going to every loser that you grew up with that might have a story about you and offering to pay them or whatever it might be, or even just making stuff up. And that's the really unfortunate part. There's a lot of great people out there, I think, and I'm not by any means saying that I'm great or that I should be the one to go into it, but there are a lot of people that I know that are very successful that would never go into politics because they know that's what it's become today. And unfortunately, people that do go into politics are megalomaniacs who know they've got skeletons in the closet, but they're so in love with themselves, they just don't believe, they think they're better than that, and people just won't care. Every time I see the whole Hillary Clinton thing, people talk about Hillary Clinton going for president, just understand, if you say anything positive about Hillary Clinton, if I ever see anything on your Facebook or hear you mention something or anything from you saying how much you are behind Hillary or that you support Hillary or whatever, just know that I lose all respect for you immediately.
I don't like her. Yeah. But on a
I just tell you, I hung out with her Secret Service guys.
I wish I would have hung out with them down in South America. That would have been fun.
Well, oh yeah, no kidding. But that's the only, that's the only. So there's a lot of politicians out there. I've been close to a lot of politicians lately. The last 2 weeks, I was brought to several political fundraisers because now people want me to get into politics out here. Where I live now, not LA, but this kind of suburb that I live in now, that's a pretty conservative area. So I got invited to go meet a senator, I got invited to go to a city council thing, and I've been at all these political fundraisers this week just because, I don't know, I think it's just one of those things that no matter how much of a D-bag I think I am, I understand the resume looks good, right? You know, like it is, and it's not, that's the crazy thing, I never meant for it to be that. You know what I mean? Like, I never in my life have gone, geez, you know, I should really do this because it would look really good on the resume, or I should do this next. There is no strategy. My life has been a Forrest Gump movie, like, of its own. I've just kind of gone through it and ended up in the right places a lot, which is crazy. But I understand how it does look good, right? I mean, it looks good for that kind of stuff, but I just don't. I don't think I could ever do it. I really don't think I can actually go into politics, even though there are a lot of things that I would like to do, and there are a lot of things that I'm very passionate about, and I would like to change. And I think that's why people want me to do it, is because they understand, like, I don't pull punches, right? Like, I would never go into politics to be a politician. I would be a
politician because, one, I have an ego for politics. When some people's I do shy away from certain things, about myself, or I do feel, embarrassed or bashful or whatever, or, humble. Having my ego fluffed is not one of them. And do I like that? See, I grew up a latchkey kid, so anytime I could get praise, I'm all about it. So I usually like to get praised by amusing other people, entertaining, or helping other people. I think that's like the biggest praise, I can get from, being a positive piece of somebody's day, no matter where that positivity comes from. The other thing is, I do like to help people. Deep down inside, I would love to help people. Being a philanthropist is like a goal of mine when I'm old and crusty and have enough money to just throw on stuff that I deem worthy. The only problem with politics is if somebody ever sat down and interviewed my family, we lights out, game over, done, buried. That's it. Walter Mondale could have beat me if I was Reagan in '84 with the family I got. I mean, hello, Geraldine Ferraro and Walter Mondale. I'd be toast. That's the thing. I'd have to kill everybody I know. Not the internet or, well, even half my military buddies I'd have to off because I think they got the worst stories of all. I'd have to kill a lot of people to be in politics. So.
Did you ever see the conspiracy theory book about Clinton and the Clinton presidency?
I did see it. I thumbed through it at what is it? Hudson Books at the airport one time.
I don't know. I never saw the book version. I just had. I think it's when I was in college. Somebody had it. It was all loose leaf paper that they had like bound together, and this thing was like circulating quite a bit because I know a lot of people that have gotten it. But it was this thing that was talking about all these people that Clinton essentially had assassinated because they knew where the bodies were buried, right?
It was not, what I saw wasn't specifically about Clinton. It was about Arkansas politics and Whitewater and all that stuff. Yeah, how many people did he off? Or
this
apparently
claim it was like in the 20s.
And
it went into very big detail on every single one of them. And it was kind of nuts because every single one of them was like, there was a guy that was deemed that had, it talked about all these different things that they had. One guy had like there was a lot of dirty stuff he had done with Clinton, and this guy his death was ruled a suicide, even though he was found in the woods with his hands tied behind his back and a bullet hole in the head. Like, really? Yes. But that's the thing that
you're a secret squirrel guy. Your family secret squirrels. It's always the best. Like, he shot himself in the head with his hands tied behind his back, upside down, in a lake, attached to a chair with an alligator shoved up his ass. It's like, but it was, and the only gun he had was a .22 in his back pocket. Yeah.
Well, there was another really good one. There's this guy. If you ever get into like the UFO conspiracies, like deep underground military bases, or God, what's the other one that's on the Archuleta Peninsula? I can't remember, but there's one big one that's actually sounds pretty nuts. It's not Area 51, but it's kind of like that. So this guy that had claimed that he had worked there or he had developed the technology to make them build this place or whatever, he would go out and he would actually speak quite a bit. He was the guy that talked and said that he had seen American intelligence and aliens, like all these people working together, actually working on technology. And the place where he lost me is he was saying that there was this big gun battle at some point between aliens and U.S. Army, and he was like, there were Green Berets and Delta Force there, and that's when I went, maybe that sounds cool for a movie, but that's not a mission that you would be on as a Green Beret. Sorry. Like, it just, I know we're probably the best suited for something like that, but no, that's not what we would be doing. But he was found, he went out actually quite a bit, talked quite a bit, did these speaks, and he was found, again, suicide, shot in the right temple. Well, this guy's right hand hadn't worked for like 3 years. His whole right arm was like something happened where he had to pee through a catheter and his arm didn't work, but they deemed it a suicide right on the side of that didn't work. So
it's always a good one. I've seen a couple of stories like that where it's like, oh, it was suicide, but no, he shot himself with his non-dominant hand. It's like, if for any of you listening that have never shot a gun or fired a weapon at all, if you pick up a weapon with your non-dominant hand, say your right hand, you pick it up and try to squeeze that trigger with the left hand, you're going to get that weird feeling, that weird shakiness. It's like trying to write your name,
It just does not feel right. It doesn't.
It doesn't. It doesn't work.
I got to get this out there because the reason we got on this is the whole Clinton thing, and so that's the thing with me. I actually, I've been around a lot of politicians in my life. Like I've had certain people that I've met. My grandpa was in the 10th Mountain with Bob Dole, so I got to do a lot of stuff with Bob Dole. Reagan, my aunt worked in the White House with Reagan. A lot of cool stuff like that. But Hillary Clinton is the first person that I've actually talked to the Secret Service that guarded her, right? So if you've read Love Me When I'm Gone, when I was in Afghanistan, I got tasked to go be Dick Cheney's PSD. They wanted me to be his tactical medical support. They wanted me to be right there with them. So the first couple of days before we're doing that, as we're prepping, we're hanging out with their anti-ambush, basically their Secret Service guys. And this was at the point in 2007 where Hillary and Obama were both campaigning, and she hadn't dropped out yet. And the Secret Service guys could not say enough bad things about her. They hated her. And these are people that had to be around her all day, every day. They said she was the worst human being they'd ever met. They said she was just horrible to everybody around her. They said she was just mean. She was two-faced. She'd say one thing and then actually do another or say another. Everything she says in front of the media is complete bullshit. She'll do that and then just go completely do something else. These were guys that they would draw straws on whether they had to guard Obama or Hillary. And even though they were all pretty sure Obama was going to get shot, they still would rather have Obama than Hillary. Because they're like, it's just that miserable to be around her because she's such a horrible human being. So anybody out there that has a friend that is pro-Hillary because of the women's rights thing, or we've had a black president, now we need a woman president, maybe, but not her. She's a horrible human being. Again, most people only hear whatever they hear. It's back and forth between CNN and Fox News or whatever. I have met people that verifiably had to spend a lot of time with her, and they say she's a horrible human being, and this isn't just like one random dude out of the whole detail. Everybody on the detail hated her.
Well, there's also something that says a lot. If you're in a marriage and you have a spouse that constantly cheats on you, okay, one, that person may be a douche, but it also might say something about you as well. You know what I mean? It's like, listen, and it's not like Bill was hitting 10s out of the park. I mean, he went for a couple 2s and 3s. I mean, you always, what is it? You always F up, you know, and he didn't always do that. So that has to say something, I mean, but you also look at the point, like how you're saying she's two-faced and stuff like that, and there's a certain portrayal in the media compared to private her. Again, look who she's married to.
Yeah.
That guy is a poet when it comes to weaving, a story and a persona. So that you probably learned from one of the best liars on the face of the earth.
Well, that's something that always got me. And for everybody that kind of scoffs and laughs whenever somebody says, "Oh, the mainstream media," and says they're full of BS and they're just basically licking Obama's ballsack as much as they can. Look at Bill Clinton. During his presidency, he was almost impeached, right? So he got to the point where he was so disliked by the American public, he was almost impeached and thrown out of office. Yet now, when you hear anything from the American media about Bill Clinton, it's in these glowing terms, like he was the best president ever, like he was George freaking Washington, when we almost fired the guy for being president, which doesn't happen very often.
No.
But again, the media, now we have this democratically controlled media that just wants... They want him to say Obama's great, and so they're going to say he's a great guy. They're rewriting history.
Listen, and it says a lot. The polarizing world that we live in, when you have George W. Bush, who's hated by a lot, loved by a lot, and Obama, the same thing, just reversed, and they were never impeached. That says a lot about Clinton. The fact that Bush and Obama don't have to don't have to worry about being impeached or anything like that, or resigning or anything like that, says a lot about Clinton. I think he was a nice guy. I liked him just because I met him. So I liked him.
At a bar, at a strip club or something?
No, I was in the junior ROTC in high school, and I was
in junior ROTC.
Yeah, in high school.
Really?
Yeah.
That just doesn't sound to me like something you'd want to do.
I was an officer in the junior ROTC. Dude, I don't know what the hell happened to me. Somewhere along the lines, there's a light switch that went off and never turned back on, man. I was destined for greatness, and I'm just trying to, shovel shit over it. Yeah, I don't know what happened to me. My goal was to be a pilot in the Air Force. I wanted to be a pilot. So
really?
Yeah. That's.
Well, but you had something wrong with your vision or something? Why?
No. No, this is age. Back then I was fine. Now it's just a lot of stuff. You get when you're in a lot of strip clubs, those lights are dim. They really tend to wreak havoc on your eyesight. So,
right.
No, and I met President Clinton, and I thought he was really nice, and he shook my hand, and how are you? Good job. Look good. Thank you, sir. Mr. President, whatever the hell I called him. And but yeah, I liked him. I think he was cool. I think any president is cool. Other than if they don't let the world break down around them, they don't let Americans get killed in mass scores around the world. If they take care of the economy, and they bring the country together, I like them. Wait. Okay, maybe not currently. But a lot of the former ones, my goal would be to sit down with a former president, except for Jimmy Carter. He just seems dumb. But
yeah, he's not Jimmy Carter,
the Bushes, I would love to just sit down with them and pick their brains. Like, you were the most powerful person in the world. Can I have a conversation with you? There's something that you have that people crave, mentally, You took over the world. I want to take over the world. You sit down, here's a notepad, and you just go from the beginning. And Mr. Clinton, I want to know, what did you do more of? Kill people or have sex with people when you were in office?
That's probably he'd probably have to break out the fingers and toes for that one.
he'd probably just like, that's a mulligan.
So as much as I like to talk about Clinton getting his rocks off, there is another thing that you and I talked about. There's a couple things we want to talk about tonight.
Yes, and I do have to say one thing before we go on. I found a book. It's on my daughter's bookshelf. School Days. Little House chapter book. Little House on the Prairie book. School Days.
Make sure you pay. I'll probably get 1/1000th of a penny.
Well, you got 3 of those from me so far.
Awesome. Thank you. So I can almost pay for almost a stick of gum. So we had a couple different things that we want to go over tonight. Mm-hmm. I don't know which one that you want to go over first, because both of them are just like phenomenally interesting to me, and I have a million things that I could talk about with either one. So why don't you lead the direction of whichever way you want to go, because I'm in either one of these.
Well, first, because this will be really quick while I pull up my information, I posted something on I think it was it was Punk Rock Libertarians. It's a page that I follow on Facebook, and I like it, Punk Rock Libertarians. And I like some of their stuff, but they had a story about the Brevard County sheriffs buying Apaches in Florida. And I'm like, no, that story's been debunked. You might want to check your facts, If you guys call yourselves libertarians, this is, I can't stand shoddy journalism.
Right.
I had somebody tell me, shut the fuck up, you geeky asshole. I'm not a geeky asshole. I've been told to shut the F up plenty of times in life. That doesn't bother me. But a geeky asshole is where I draw the line. I am not a geeky asshole. And
so wait, who is it? Who called you a geeky asshole?
Just some guy commenting. Called me a geeky asshole. The troll, because he had a picture. He just had a picture of something, a painting of something. I couldn't even see his face to call him out on his crap. Well, I had a bunch of people defend me and like, no, he's right. Check out these facts, blah, 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 this and that. The story doesn't add up. The price of the Apaches don't even add up. So that was I guess, for this week, best worst tweet of the week goes over to Facebook because somebody called me a geeky asshole because I try to throw in some sense into a journalistic story that had a lot of holes in it. So to that guy that called me that, I hope you get diarrhea in your sleep.
I hope you get herpes in the mouth.
Yes. So now on to our story. I just had a vent about that. I don't like geeky. I don't like that at all. I'm not a geek. I'm a punk rocker. Nazi myths. Every night before Nazi myths, Nazi conspiracies, however you look at it, Nazi truths, whatever the case may be, every night before bed for like the last week and a half, 2 weeks, I've been watching myth shows, conspiracy shows from the U.S. and Great Britain about Nazis and some of these weird stories about these guys. And I came across a few stories that I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to get your opinion. The first one is, well, I'll throw a couple out there. Hitler died in Argentina.
Do you want to go back and forth now, or do you want to wait until after you've sent them all the...
Well, I'll send out a couple. One that we talked about. That one I like. And it's Hitler dying in Argentina. Hitler was possessed by the devil. No. Nazis had a secret moon base. That's funny, but there's one that...
I'm very in and read up on all of these things, so you just pick wherever you go, and we could probably go for the rest of the show.
Built a fully functioning UFO. I think that to be true with the bell, whatever, the Nazi bell.
Yeah.
Nazis tried to turn sand into gold, and they try to turn the chosen people into ash. So, I mean, it's kind of far-flung. Hitler had a base in the Antarctic.
Yes.
I like that one a lot.
And an actual battle that was on record that was there. So, yeah.
Yeah, and okay, this is what I got from this. The Nazis had a secret base in the Antarctic. There were a few facts here that can justify these claims. There was a German expedition in Antarctica in 1938-39. There was classified British military activity in Antarctica during the war, and there was I don't know if this is true or not, I didn't look this up. There was indeed a nuclear explosion in 1958 carried out by the U.S. in Operation High Jump that was meant to destroy this base. So let's go with that one first.
You want to start with that one?
I like that one.
Which show did you watch? Because I watched a lot of shows on this one, and this one is wow. So if we're gonna go into, do you want to get into like the esoteric, like occult stuff with Hitler and everything like that, or you want to just go on this?
Let's go into esoteric stuff, because what was the one? There was a myth something from England that I've been watching the last week. They were the ones that were talking about Himmler and the Holy Grail and the occult and what we talked about, the spear of
destiny.
Spear of destiny. I thought that was very interesting.
So anybody who doesn't know, the Spear of Destiny is as far as the lore or the legend goes, it is the spear that Jesus was stabbed with while he was dying on the cross, and it's thought to be like this ultimate powerful weapon. It's a very high thing. I mean, and when you're talking about occult artifacts, it's right up there with the Holy Grail, essentially. I mean, it's pretty. There's another one where there's like somebody is reported to have an actual piece of the wood from the cross that Jesus was crucified on. That's a pretty big one. Of course, the Holy Grail is up there. But it's one of the bigger artifacts. He was looking for that. Whoever controls the Spear of Destiny is supposed to be able to... I can't remember what it is. But I heard about this, and I got so into all this stuff. There's a secret society that is involved, that Hitler was involved with. And let me read you a quote from him about this society that I found out about, and Joe and I were talking about this earlier. Like, I've been considering joining because it's a secret society. It's very difficult to get into, but it is the one that Hitler pulled a lot of his stuff from, and I want to figure out what it's all about. I want to know what this crazy fucker was up to, because it's still very active, and there is some crazy shit these people do. So Hitler has this story, or this quote, where he says, "All the supposed abominations, the skeletons and death's head, the coffins and the mysteries are mere bogies for children. but there is one dangerous element, and that is the element I have copied from them. They form a sort of priestly nobility. They have developed an esoteric doctrine, more merely formulated, but imparted through the symbols and mysteries and degrees of initiation. The hierarchical organization and the initiation through symbolic rites, that is to say, without bothering the brain by working on the imagination through magic and the symbols of occult, this has a dangerous element, and the element I have taken over. Don't you see that our party must be of this character, in order, the hierarchical order of a secular priesthood? And so that's Adolf Hitler talking about all this different stuff. And, you know, there's a lot of crazy stuff. You can go out there and find a lot of the things that Hitler was putting in with the esoteric. And there is this society that essentially founded the Nazi Party. And I'm not going to go out and say what it is, but just that there is this very interesting. It started in Germany. They use a lot of the same. They use a lot of the same symbolism as many other esoteric organizations do, but they have a whole kind of web of different secret societies that all come from this one. And it's where they are. It's where they got their stuff. It's where Hitler essentially got a lot of this esoteric stuff that he was looking for. And a lot of people have kind of hinted at it time and time again throughout history, especially lately in movies and TV shows and stuff like that. But that is a verified fact. Like, Hitler was, you know, we've heard about all the crazy stuff he did with UFOs and trying to, like, utilize all these other powers and things like that. He was into some dark, dark stuff. Hitler really, really was. And that's, you know, the base in Antarctica. Both of those things, there's two kind of runoffs. One, he died in Argentina. That's something you brought up earlier. My grandpa was a spy hunter, right? So my grandpa was a spy, and he was a spy hunter. He started off as a spy hunter. He ended up as a spy. Essentially, he was in World War II with the 10th Mountain as an infantryman. He was with Bob Dole when Bob Dole got hurt. After World War II, he went into intelligence and became essentially a spy. He was hunting down German war criminals, Nazi war criminals. And he spent a lot of time in various parts of Europe, also spent a lot of time in South America. So I've seen a lot of things about, they have found the rat lines. They have found the routes that the war criminals, that the Nazis took, how they've mapped out exactly how they got from Germany to South America to Argentina. The funny thing is, if you go down to certain parts of South America, has anybody noticed in the last generation or two, there have become a lot of blonde South Americans? That's not natural. That's not natural. If you go down to South America now, there are a lot of Germanic last names that have become ubiquitous with parts of the culture. There's a lot of German architecture in certain areas of South America now, and there are a lot of Germans, right? So that one's not very far off. The one in Antarctica, that's pretty interesting. They have a lot of verified evidence, right? They found strategic operational intelligence that all the U-boats at the end of the war, as soon as the Allies were closing in on Hitler, their U-boats started like beelining directly for Antarctica. Right? There's a lot of their logistics, a lot of their stuff that made their way to Antarctica. There's actually a recorded event where American basically sent a, not an aircraft carrier, but a battleship group. Mm-hmm. Right? So if you've never been in the Navy or really know anybody in the Navy, an American battleship never travels alone. Right? So whenever you have a battleship, you have like a battleship, you got a couple other ships, you got like fuel ships, logistics ships, you got subs, you got all this different stuff that goes out. Maybe there was an aircraft carrier with them, but they went to Antarctica, didn't really make it well known what they were going to do, just said they were going to Antarctica, and they got into a battle. Like there was an air battle in Antarctica that they lost men, they lost planes, they lost, I think, a ship, an entire ship. They lost a lot of stuff there. And so that's one of those things where it kind of got, you know, it's kind of hush-hush. But that was a very interesting thing. I think 5 years ago or so, Russia went and actually claimed Antarctica. They put their flag in Antarctica, right? Because nobody had actually legitimately done that before. So they done it for a part of Antarctica, but not the whole thing, because you got to kind of think you have to be able to hold a certain amount of territory to call it your own. But that one's extremely interesting, because I watched a couple like 4-hour shows on just purely on the Antarctica thing, and it's pretty nuts.
I didn't know that much about it. I've heard and read before that there's a secret Nazi lab or base in Antarctica. But I also heard the one about the moon, and I was like, I was kind of hoping more for the moon first. I thought that would be cool. Have the moon and the Earth fight. Fight to the death. I think that would be pretty interesting. For the sci-fi part of me.
You ever hear that story that we sent a nuke into space?
No, yeah, Bruce Willis. Everybody knows that story.
No, not for that. Not for an asteroid, but there's an actual story out there. If you get in the conspiracy theory zone, that we actually sent a nuke. I think we sent a nuke to the moon, and when you get in like the conspiracy theory, alien technology thing, a lot of people say, or whoever talks about this, basically say the nuke was intercepted and destroyed before, as soon as it got out of orbit. But if that were true, that would be a question. Is it going towards the moon, or is it going to the sun, or where the hell would it be going?
That's a good question. I would say Venus. Just destroy that feminine planet.
I'd go for Uranus. I always want to send a nuke up Uranus.
Would it go through, or is there an icy core in Uranus?
It's a smooth, chocolatey center.
I'll wonder that. I was just looking up another thing, which I thought this was a movie. The Nazi expedition to Tibet, and one thing I didn't know was that I guess Hitler didn't mind Buddhism. He kind of had a fascination with Buddhism. He said he knew he didn't like other cults. He tried to destroy other secret societies and cultic groups in Germany. In the 20s and 30s, and he said Christianity was basically garbage because there was too many Jewish teachings in it, but Buddhism was a-okay. There was actually the Buddhist house in I don't know, I can't, in Berlin. There was a House of Buddhists. That's what the translation is, by Paul Dahlke, Dahlke. It was founded in 1924, the House of Buddhists in Berlin. I wonder if that has anything to do with why they picked the symbol that he picked.
Yeah, the swastika, and that's one thing that does kind of freak people out, because if you go to Taiwan or if you go to China, a lot of Buddhist temples will have the swastika on it. It's not because the Buddhists are Nazis. It's because Hitler stole the swastika from Buddhism, right? And so this other secret society that I was looking at, they actually utilize the swastika quite a bit, because if you look at the esoteric nature of it, there are a lot of different things that it holds true. I get into this big argument. My dad is very, very, very conservative Christian, right? Southern Baptist, very much so. So every once in a while we'll get in these arguments. My grandpa was a Freemason. It skipped a generation. My dad wasn't. And so we'll get into like kind of, not arguments, but philosophical discussions every once in a while about Christianity and other religions and things like that. And, he thinks I border on being a heretic because of some of the things that I talk about and I believe. But that's one thing that I bring up quite a bit is, there have been like 170 different variations of the cross.
Yep.
Like, the Egyptian Ankh is essentially a cross, even though it was around long before Christ ever came around. There's pre-Christ Christianity. The swastika is just another emanation of the cross.
Yep.
Right? It's a very, a lot of people get kind of freaked out when you start saying that, but if you look at the history and where it actually came from,
the swastika was also a traditional symbol of the Old Norse god of thunder and might, Thor, Donner, Perkanos is another name. Here, this is funny. The swastika has also appeared in most other ancient cultures of the world. For example, the counterclockwise variant of it was adopted by the Nazis. is also the letter G. It's a medieval Northern European runic script. The Freemasons took the letter as an important symbol since the G could stand for God, the great architect of the universe, or geometry. So yeah, a bunch of people always borrowing stuff. Nothing's original anymore. There's really nothing original. For all you the scary death metal freaks out there that love death metal, you know, like Deicide and Obituary and the shirts with the upside down cross, well, guess what? That was already done before. Which one of the how did that come to be? Which one of the apostles was crucified on an upside down cross? Where did that come from? Was that Paul or something like that?
I don't know.
I think that's where it came from, and it's actually, I guess, from what I've read, an upside down cross was, I don't know, I could be off base, was a sign of defiance against the Romans because they did that to one of the apostles, whether it was John or Paul or something, or Peter, or whoever it was. That's how he was crucified, and it was actually a symbol that the Christians used. And how the hell headbangers took it, I don't know. It was the same thing as like the Buddhists wondering, how the hell did the Nazis get this? I remember when I was a mechanic at Pep Boys when I was younger, when I was a teenager, there was a car that pulled in, and this is when I didn't really realize too much around the world. I got in this car to pull it in, and I saw this. My exact terms were, well, when I pulled in, there was a swastika and then all this other flowery stuff and trinkets around it. And I go to my buddy, look, there's some homosexual Nazis drive this car. They got a swastika in here with flowers and gold all over it. And an older guy in the shop, you fucking idiot, that's Buddhist. I'm like, huh? What? That was 17, I think, 17, 18, somewhere around there. I had no idea. I'm like, I just thought there was a bunch of gay Nazis in Buffalo with some flowery swastikas as little ordained ornaments on their hanging from their mirror.
Well, and that's, the funny thing is that there are some people that will just get bent out of shape without actually knowing what's going on. There's some people that probably get very upset by seeing that without understanding that that actually was a Buddhist symbol long before it ever became a Nazi thing.
Oh yeah, there's some guy in Kentucky that would see some Buddhist guy with a swastika and just that's not American. That they don't look like Nazis, but they are.
Yeah.
No reason to hate the brown people.
Always got to be Kentucky. There's some good stuff in Kentucky. They make whiskey.
Yeah, it's called the Exit. It's called Tennessee.
I don't think Tennessee's a whole lot better. Actually, Tennessee barbecue is pretty awesome. So I guess maybe we have something up on them. So yeah, the Nazis. I don't know, man. There's a lot of stuff with those guys. You talked about him hating the secret societies. There's a thing called the Forget-Me-Not pin because he actually tried to get rid of Freemasonry. Stalin did the same thing in Russia. Usually whenever a despot comes into power, the first thing they do is try to get rid of the people that can take them out of power. So it was the King of France that burned the Knights Templar. It was, Hitler tried to get rid of the Freemasons. Stalin tried to get rid of the Freemasons. There's a thing in Freemasonry called the Forget-Me-Not pin. It's a little blue flower that when he outlawed the Freemasons, people couldn't wear the square and compass, but to identify themselves, they would wear this little flower on their lapel because they were so very much in control. So there are I don't know. It's insane to look at that and look at the history and how all these different things kind of blend together. Where he took a lot of this esoteric stuff and studied it and wanted it, knew how important it was, and then at the same time tried to destroy anybody who really knew it and used it and had the power to understand it.
What was speaking of just how crazy he he was, I think he was fairly intelligent.
Hitler?
Yeah, I think he was fairly intelligent, pretty captivating.
He had one testicle and he failed at art school.
That's what I just saw, that he had one testicle, and his doctor said no, that he had two. But
and here's the thing, and that's like a traditional, it's just throughout history, when you want somebody to lose credibility, what do? You discredit them, right? So
especially as a
man.
How
real that is.
Especially as a man. The one way to discredit a man is to take his manliness away. So,
although
better way to take a manliness away than just to take one of your nuts.
I read a thing, and I can't remember if it was Have you ever seen Extract?
Mm.
There's a movie, Extract. It's got one of my favorite actors in it, the guy from Arrested Development, and Gene Simmons from Kiss. Long story short, this guy owns a factory making vanilla extract. One of his workers gets like hurt on the job and loses one testicle, and there's this big scene where Gene Simmons is like, he's only got one ball. He's not even a man. I mean, if he had no balls, he'd be more of a man than if he only has one ball. Great scene. That makes the entire movie. It's got Mila Kunis, and I get very upset when I see people, like, when they rate her as the sexiest woman in the world because she looks like a 5-year-old boy that is kind of an ugly 5-year-old boy. But I kind of digress from there.
Yeah, see, that's where you and I differ.
I can't even remember how the hell I got on this subject.
I don't know, but you know, there's another Gene Simmons movie from the 80s where he was some mad scientist dude, and he had little spider robots, and they had a needle. It was out of the face of this little spider robot thing. It had acid. And these dumb little erector set robots, little spider robots, no bigger than this. How is he killing people with these spiders? Like, you just walk up and you step on it. It's like, they're not fast. So, and they have to ram into you to poke you with their needle and then, shoot acid in you. Who comes up with these movies?
People are very scared of spiders. But I remember how I got on that subject. I remember reading in Maxim or Men's Health or something a few months ago, there was this article that actually had the bloodline, the direct descendants of Hitler. There were two guys that are directly descended from Hitler. And this whole thing was about them. They went through and they agreed. They got castrated. They didn't have kids yet. They were like 30 or early 30s or something. Mm-hmm. They had the nuts chopped off, so they could not, his bloodline would die. Oh. But that's...
Listen, if I was that guy, I'd be like, listen, I promise to pull out.
Well, and a part of it, like, I kind of want to grab them and have them understand, like, if Hitler was really into the shit that he was into, if he was really into all this stuff that I think he was into, he preserved it, right? Like, it's alive somewhere else. That was, that's one of the biggest conspiracies about the Knights Templar. They did a lot of different things, but their main job was to protect the bloodline of Christ, right? And so that's the biggest, tell my dad that, and he'll bring in the Southern Baptist to burn me alive right now for being a heretic. But that is one of the main points of Gnosticism, if you've heard of Gnosticism, is the idea that Christ actually took a wife and had child, and that those children were Christ's offspring. They're alive today. They spawned the Merovingian dynasty, and they actually have ruled most of Earth, which is really funny, and I really enjoy the fact that there are atheists in countries that play the separation of church and state that are actually ruled by descendants of Christ. So,
that stuff.
So, yeah, you know what? Fuck it. Hey, we don't need the church anymore. You're right. Just love the state. It's okay. You don't got to go to church and pay your money. Just pay your taxes, bitches.
Yeah, wasn't that kind of like, okay, let's say you're atheist and you don't like, okay, I don't like God, but I'm all about this politician. I'm all about giving money for taxes. It's kind of the same thing as the medieval church, wasn't it? Like,
well, that's if you listen to Dennis Prager,
give you money. It's the same thing.
One of Dennis Prager's biggest arguments is that the state has replaced religion in all of its facets and forums. That there are a lot of people that, now they're very anti-religion, they're very anti-church, but all that same void, that same part of their life that would go into church and somebody else that's a church-going person, they've put into the state. So they see the state as their church. So essentially they call themselves an atheist, but they treat their elected officials, they treat Obama like they're fucking Christ, right? Which is where it gets really scary because he's a human, definitely not very faith-worthy. But, yeah, that's Dennis Prager. If you don't listen to Dennis Prager, I love Dennis Prager. I really do. I even have his app on my phone, and I'm a cheap motherfucker, and I paid the $5 to get his app on my phone. That's how much I like him. But it is. He's a little over-the-top conservative sometimes, but some very good points. Some very, very good points.
And here's a South Park reference of the show. One of their best episodes is the battle with the atheists. One is you got the otters, and then they were all futuristic people, and our form of atheism is better. No, your form of atheism sucks. Ours is better. And they were competing atheist armies to see whose form of atheism was better. One was like the Atheists United of the world, and the other one was the World United Atheists. They just like swapped a letter in their acronyms of names, and that was like the schism of atheism in the future. And it was like, you watch, it was like, that's it. One of these days you're going to have a fight between atheists of what type of atheism is better. You know, I think it's funny. And like you said, it's with South Park, they nailed it right on the head. You know, one of these days in the future, you know, our brand of knowledge is better than your brand of knowledge. That's just like religion and politics and everything else. It'll catch up to atheism. Don't worry. In about 200 years from now, atheists are going to be going after other atheists with pitchforks and torches, and you know they're going to act like it's the 1910s, but it's going to be 200 years from now. I don't know why I gave them pitchforks and torches. You know, I'm sure they're going to have laser guns by then. So
who knows, man? It might all recycle to zero. We might go right back to pitchforks and bows and arrows, man. You never know. I love South Park because they get it right on the money. And a lot of people like to make fun of South Park and discredit and just say it's all dick and fart jokes, but really, they are right on the money with a lot of different things, especially when it's involved with politics, because so much of our society today is about political correctness, especially with politicians. And this kind of made me mad when I was at this guy that was running for city council yesterday. I was at his thing, and they were talking about this guy that has a bunch of signs that are out in the city. I'm not going to say the city, but the place that he's running, which is my suburb. And they were talking about this, you know, this one other official that's in a different race, but he's same thing, and he's got his signs up all over the place. He's an incumbent. He's been around for a while, and a lot of people know him and support him, so they put this guy's signs up. The guy that I was with is kind of a newer guy, and so somebody in his camp was saying, well, we don't really like this guy, but he's got signs up everywhere, so it's in our best advantage to start liking this guy. And I went, you know, that's the wrong fucking reason to be in politics, dude. Like, you might have just lost me, because I was going to give them a lot of free marketing. Like, I ran through a lot of different stuff with them, how to set up a social media marketing campaign, how to do SEO, how to do what you should have, like what social media you should have, what you should use to track your metrics, where you should buy your ads, how to do all that stuff. And it's funny because somebody that was with me was like, "Wow, Rob, how do you know all this? How do you know how to do all this?" And I was like, "Well, my undergrad's in marketing and my fucking MBA is in marketing, so I should know how to do this. I spent 6 years in school to learn how to do this. I better be the guy that knows a lot about it."
Hey, I have a question for you. Since you're big into marketing, how does Greek rhetorical theory play in a modern advertisement?
Fuck your rhetorical class. Fuck your rhetoric class. Is that what it's from?
Yeah, I have an assignment.
Pretty colors, big boobies, and technical music. That's marketing in a nutshell.
They play in the ethos and pathos. Damn it.
No. Well, there's the hierarchy. Who was it that had the hierarchy of the id and the
Aristotle?
No, it's not Maslow. It's whatever. Sigmund Freud. Yeah, the id, God damn it, I can't remember any of that stuff now. You know, it's funny. If you have a psychology degree, marketing companies and advertising companies will pay you a lot of money.
Really?
That's where it is. Do you know why the golden arches are yellow?
Because I do know this. Because yellow makes you hungry.
Yellow makes you hungry. Most institutions and schools are like light gray or dark blue because it makes you docile and more willing to accept information that's being given to you. Green, that whole green makes you horny thing is kind of a myth.
I've never.
Black does make you depressed. Red makes you angry and excited.
Most of my T-shirts are black.
There you go.
Yeah, you know that's a crazy thing. Like, when it comes to politics and marketing, all that stuff, like you were talking about, like branching, like the problem with certain things is, I think they have too many head doctors and everything. Everything's got to be, okay, this is how you got to tap into the person. How about this? How about you just be honest? How about you be nice? And how about you tell the truth? I don't care what the color scheme is, because here's the thing. Advertisement does not work on me. I would be your biggest. I think I would be your biggest problem if you were trying to like do like a case study. Like, okay, you work for a marketing firm. You know, like, okay, do this. Write down on a little chart. You know, if this interests you, what do you like about it? I'd be like, no. I don't. Flashy things. Okay, that gets me going because I have the attention span of a goldfish. But I've never been hooked on it from a commercial or a sign or anything like that. But
not all advertising and marketing are flashy signs, commercials, things like that. That's the stuff that's overt marketing, obviously, but there's covert marketing as well, right? There's a lot of other things, a lot of more subtle things. So the headphones you're wearing, why do you have the headphones that you're wearing right now?
Because they were cheap.
So you're like me. Okay, so that's like price. That's price marketing, right? So that's
I look at like all I need these to do is put sound into my head. Okay, I look at the what are the ones? Beats by Dre, $200 ones. Okay, the really great ad campaign. You got a rapper to sign on. All this stuff. Guess what? This shitty pair right here, $10. The Beats, $250.
But I bet at the end of the day...
You know what? I heard you. They work. Money well spent.
But I bet at the end of the day, the Beats cost the same amount of money to make as those ones you're wearing.
Yeah, it doesn't work on me. And I see all these idiots, especially in college, just walking around. Do you realize that Beats headphones are just an accessory? You know, just to, like, they put them around your neck. Like, look what I'm wearing. $200 headphones around my neck. Like... Will that $200 cord strangle you when I wrap it around your neck for looking like an idiot?
Well, and that's another big part of it. So I worked my way through college as a DJ, right? So I was a rave DJ. Well, I was a club DJ and then a rave DJ, and then I became a producer of big concerts and raves and things like that. So at that point, the God, I can't remember what kind they were right now, but there was a specific type of headphone. These silver headphones that everybody wore. Every big DJ wore. They didn't ever have ads. They didn't ever have TV spots. They didn't have anything like that. But they had product placement, right? So every big DJ was wearing them, and then every other DJ wanted them just because those guys are wearing them. That's covert marketing.
See, and
if you read the book by Malcolm Gladwell called The Tipping Point, it talks a lot about that, about getting certain people that are social. They're like mavens.
Mm-hmm.
That like companies understand there are product companies that make stuff. They go to marketing companies and go, hey, we got this. We don't have $1 million to spend on advertising. Make it sell. And you go, all right, we have these people that we call mavens throughout society. We'll just give a pair. And they're the cool kids. They smoke and they're edgy and whatever, and people see them wearing it and go, Jesus Christ, you're cool. I want that. How do I be like you? And it goes way beyond middle school and high school. There's fucking 40-year-old people that they do this with. Look at the Emmys. The Emmys, or whichever the big fucking movie one is, these douchebags wear these big diamond necklaces. They don't own those.
Yeah,
the dresses that they wear, they don't own those. There are companies that go, you're the cool kids. Please wear this for free, and I'll give you... a friend of mine worked on Rodeo Drive here in Beverly Hills, and they were telling me when, like, you have these weeks leading up to all these big award shows where every big name you've ever heard of will walk into every major outlet there on Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills and get whatever they want for free. Everything that they want. So they can essentially get like $500,000-$600,000 worth of jewelry, clothing, shoes, 100% free because it's advertising. But it's not an ad in a magazine. It's not an ad on a but that's marketing today.
Well,
sell to you without you knowing that you're being sold to.
I watched an event tonight on television, and all the announcers had a Diet Mountain Dew in front of them.
Product placement. Yeah.
Making sure that label's facing towards the camera. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, that's really shitty product placement. I hate that. Like, I don't know. Maybe if I didn't want to entertain people and educate people, I would get into marketing just to. I'm like, listen, the way you get. I don't know. Maybe I would be like the Steve Jobs of marketing. Like go in and like I'm gonna change everything you know about marketing. Like I don't know. It's just those things have never worked on me. Commercials, nothing. There's. You know why I'm not in style or fashionable? Because I like to put something on. I'm like, this is comfortable.
But okay,
it's comfortable. I like that. I like.
Here's where I gotta stop you though. Because there is a reason that you're wearing whatever you're wearing, and it might not be a conscious decision, but you're not the first guy to ever wear that sock hat.
Oh, I know.
Beatnik soul patch and the hair, like that whole thing. And this. Here's the whole.
Oh, I'm not completely. I'm not unique by any stretch of the imagination.
I think you're unique. I think your personality is very unique.
Oh, I mean, unique. I mean, everything I'm doing has been done probably by people identically to me. I mean, I'm wearing a shirt from a band from 20 years ago that was never really relevant. Minor Threat. You know what?
Oh yeah. Okay.
See, I'm gonna wear this to school one of these days, and people are gonna look at me like, "Oh, he's an old guy trying to fit in," or I don't know what that. Why has he got a sad bald guy on his shirt? You know why I wear their shirt? Because I like the band. That's why. I would wear a Hall & Oates shirt. You know what? I'm going to find a Hall & Oates shirt because you know what? I like Sarah's smile. I like Hall & Oates.
I love Maneater. All right? I love Hall & Oates. People make fun of Hall & Oates. Those people can go fuck themselves. Yeah. I love Hall & Oates.
I love Hall & Oates. I buy stuff if I feel comfortable in it, if it makes me feel good about myself, if it's affordable, and if it tastes good or it sounds good or stuff like that or entertains me. I could give two shits about a commercial. I really could. And that's the other thing, like going back to politics when you're talking about, I could give two shits about somebody's sign.
Yeah.
I want, you know, I hate signs. I hate political signs. And listen, I'm not speaking on behalf of Rob. If any of his friends are listening right now, I'm speaking on behalf of me. I'm in New York. We have rotten politicians out here. California has great politicians, and if
they're fucking.
Now, if you got rotten politicians, get in some great ones. Here in New York, they all suck a bag of ass, though.
They're actually California is one of the most corrupt states in the country for politics. It's a pretty bad one. It really is, and that's again it's just marketing, right? It's marketing yourself. The Democratic Party markets themselves as people that are on the side of the minority. People that want to help the underdog, right? But if you look at people like Senator Dianne Feinstein here in California, she has a record of fucking the underdog, of helping her husband and illegally making any company in competition with their husbands all of a sudden run out of business.
What kind of company?
But at the same time, they pretend we're just like you. We love you. Obama rails against rich Americans and tries to destroy all these tax loopholes and things like that for them, because he knows his target demographic to vote for him, probably on welfare, probably unemployed, probably on food stamps, probably in the like that's just cold hard facts. You want to call me a racist asshole?
And we'll probably never be able to afford to see him speak when he goes on his "I'm not the president anymore" speaking engagements.
Who, Obama's?
Yeah. I voted for you. I want to hear you speak. $2,500 a plate, please.
Yeah, well, and that's
don't make any sense.
That like $2,500 a plate to listen to me talk about how much I hate rich people. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah. You know how much money that guy made in office? Like he made a lot of money in office talking about how much he hates rich people as he's quintupling the amount of money that he has. Like that's just fucking Democrats, man. Fucking Democrats. And I tell you what, Al Sharpton, fucking Jesse Jackson's a Mason, and so it really pains me to have to say this, but fuck you, Jesse Jackson, you goddamn douchebag. Like, those two race-baiting motherfuckers need to die horribly and painfully, because they've set race relations back so far in this country, and again, marketing under the idea that they're the people that are there to be the saviors, when in reality, they're just underhandedly using these things that people have against them and making it even worse. And it just, it kills me. Because people, there are some people that, I hate to say it, but they're too stupid to understand what's going on around them. and they don't pay attention. And when you're talking about shady marketing, that's where a lot of it comes from. Is people that capitalize on that fact. Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, that's what they do. And so I'm not just saying black people are stupid. I'm not saying that. Do not try to put words in my mouth. But there are a lot of people out there that capitalize on specific parts of race relations and understand how to get people all worked up and use that in their favor to make money, because at the end of the day, if all races got along, if black people and white people really were a United Colors of Benetton ad, and we all got along great, and we all sat in the same seats on the bus, and we all did the same thing, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, out of a fucking job. It's in their best interest for us to have some race tension. So fuck those people.
Oh, yeah.
Get rid of them, and our race relations will move forward another couple decades immediately. Business
is good when there's a Ferguson, or when there's something like that, or whatever the case may be. Jesse Jackson doesn't bug me as much as Al Sharpton. He bugs the hell out of me, but Al Sharpton, he really takes the cake, because that guy, he went from being the slapstick part of presidential debate in 2000 it was 99 2000. And a complete moron in the 80s wearing a tracksuit, looked like Grimace. And now he's primetime cable news. People get their news from him. That's what I can't stand, is the fact that this asshole, this hate monger, this joke is now, in the eyes of a lot of people, very respectable in the world of journalism and media and messages and stuff like that. And that's what I can't stand. It's just like, are you serious? People watch his show on MSNBC. I've watched it every now and then just to get mad. Like if I have to go to the range, I'll watch his show. And then it's okay. Okay, then let's tie this all into marketing. Then I'll remember the advertisers that advertise on his show, and that's what I'll paint the target as.
Yeah. Well, and that is kind of a, you got to look at that and go, if you're an advertiser, you realize you are turning off the most people with the most money in this country by backing that person or by paying for that. But I don't know. There are a lot of shitheads in the world. There really are a lot of shitheads in the world. And that is why, at the end of the day, like a lot of these contracts now, as a celebrity, you have to sign a contract saying that, like, if we endorse you, Tiger Woods, after that whole thing, he lost most of his endorsements deals, right? Because there are certain, like, I don't know, I can't remember what they call them, but it's essentially a douchebag deal. Like, if you come out and, like, the public finds out you're a douchebag, we're not going to pay anymore, right? So we'll take back all of our endorsements, and you owe us some money. Lance Armstrong, that happened with Lance Armstrong. He is being forced to pay back some of his endorsement deals when it was found out that he was actually using steroids or blood doping or whatever the fuck he was doing. So that's another part of marketing, right? It's that whole, who's the right cool kid? How do I get attached to that cool kid? And what do I do to make sure that cool kid sells my stuff? And that cool kid doesn't become a not cool kid.
Well, look at the Minnesota Vikings. The reason why they indefinitely suspended or whatever, but with Adrian Peterson from the child abuse case, is that Radisson pulled out, Budweiser pulled out, McDonald's, they all pulled out of advertising and sponsoring the Minnesota Vikings. So it's like, okay, you beat your kid with a switch, you left a lot of marks, we're going to suspend you for a game, inactivate you for a game. Okay, now you're back. And then the Radisson, McDonald's, Anheuser-Busch, it's kind of funny that Budweiser, of all people, is mad that somebody beat their kid. It's like, you might be the cause root of some of this stuff.
That might be your target demographic, yeah.
Just a hunch. An angry man that beats his kid with a stick, probably drinking Budweiser. Call me crazy, but I think you're alienating your target audience. But yeah, the Vikings didn't suspend Adrian Peterson until all the advertisement pulled out. It's like,
I just saw this today. So if anybody doesn't know, Budweiser is no longer American. If you buy a Budweiser, you are not supporting an American company as much as you might think. Budweiser is not owned by an American company. And who gives a shit, because I don't drink Budweiser. But I saw something today that really, like, I had to stop. I had to take a knee. And, like, I got choked up.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Yep.
My favorite beer in the world. I'm a cheap motherfucker, right? I'm a cheap motherfucker. The reason that my family has kept money in the family is because we're all cheap motherfuckers. We're all cheap as we can get. When I was in high school, when I was in college, you could go to H-E-B in Austin, Texas. For $2.62 a six-pack, you could buy Pabst Blue Ribbon. Today, I saw the news that Pabst Blue Ribbon is being bought out by a Russian company.
Yep.
What the fuck?
Well, here's the funny thing. Pabst Blue Ribbon, which also makes Colt 45, Schlitz, Old Style, and Old Milwaukee. I read the article the other day, too. They were bought out by a company. They were based out of Wisconsin. They were bought out by a company in Los Angeles. So blame L.A. for PBR being communist. Now
I blame LA for pretty much everything.
Yeah, it's not Blue Ribbon. It's not Blue Ribbon anymore. It's red. It's Red Ribbon now. Commie bastards. All you hipsters out there, you're supporting a bunch of communism. But here in the great land of Western New York, we're kind of a little slice of heaven, I like to call it. We have all you hipsters and all you cheap motherfuckers out there, like Rob and myself. There's a beer out here that is still locally owned, and my grandfather drank it. Everybody's grandfather around here drank it, so we understand the meaning of a good ass whooping off a cheap beer. It's called Genesee beer. Look at this. Look at that. That's the whole can. Where's the advertisement? There is none, because it says one great brewery, one great taste. You don't need anything else. And they get it out of the Genesee River in Rochester, New York, which is really disgusting. I wouldn't even dip my toes in there if I had something on it, like poop. But they get the water out of there for the beer. So all you hipsters, here, come to the land of Genesee. So, yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well, I'm gonna have to try that now. Do you know if you can sell it? Can I buy that anywhere out here? Do they sell that anywhere east of the Mississippi or west of the Mississippi?
I don't know, but I'm sure you'll be able to get it somehow.
For anybody out there, you might not like this. Do you guys have a World Market on the East Coast?
World Market?
Yeah.
I don't know. What is that?
Yeah, there's a place out here called World Market. They just have shit from all over the world. So it's not like a regular grocery store that you go into that just has like your stuff. They have, you go in there, you can buy like candy from Britain, like curry from India, tea from India, but the best part, who cares about everything else? They have beer and booze from all over the world. So like my favorite beer now is called Xingu, Xingu. You can get it if you go to like a Brazilian steakhouse or Fogo de Chao or World Market. And this stuff, I shit you not, it's like Guinness with honey in it.
Ooh.
It's fucking amazing. It kind of makes me cream my pants every time that I see it. Like this stuff is amazing. Very fattening, but it's absolutely unbelievably good stuff. And that's the only places I've ever seen it were Fogo de Chao and World Market.
I have to check that out. There's a Brazilian steakhouse not too far from me. I have to go in there and be like, listen, I don't have a green card or a red card. I don't want any steak.
But I want beer.
But I want beer. We'll do that. And we're gonna end the show at that. You know what? I'm gonna have a beer. Because I'm not a fan of marketing, but I'm a fan of one great brewery and one great taste.
Well, and so speaking of marketing, Pabst Blue Ribbon, and I'm way over time, but I gotta add this little thing. When we're talking about marketing, when I found out Pabst Blue Ribbon was $2.62 a six-pack, I was in a fraternity, and we went and we started like a PBR drinking club because we love PBR so much. And this was like pre-fucking hipster, pre-ironic, pre all that stuff. I was like, fuck it. If we're going to drink PBR every Friday and Saturday night, and this stuff is awesome, like I genuinely love PBR. I love it. Like I went to a place that had PBR and tap, and I did like a happy dance for probably 5 minutes around the bar because I love it. I fucking love PBR. So I wanted us to have appropriate stuff. So I was trying to get I was trying to get all of our, like, I wanted us to have, like, clothes and stuff. So I couldn't find it anywhere. I searched everywhere that I could. I had to call Pabst Blue Ribbon, who put me in touch with their marketing team, who put me in touch with this, like, ghetto-ass website where I could get their stuff. I ordered sock hats, I ordered baseball shirts, I ordered, like, all kinds of T-shirts, and so we'd get together, and we're probably pre-2010, the only assholes in America actually wearing, like, PBR-themed stuff. And I loved it. I loved it so much, because if you haven't had PBR and you're not a hipster, try it. It's actually great beer, and it's super cheap. It tastes really good, like with a steak or with whatever. It's actually the only beer that I like to drink while I'm eating stuff. Zingu, I like Zingu because it's awesome, but I don't really drink Zingu and eat. PBR is really good with, like, man food, like nachos, like steak, ribs, PBR. I don't drink beer and eat anything else because beer fills me up, and I really like food to be anywhere in my belly it can be. But man food, PBR, any of it. Chili con queso, fucking turkey legs, anything like that I love with a good PBR.
Now I'm going to eat. Fuck.
Yeah, I'm starting. It's like 10 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock at night here. I got to be on conference call, but I'm starving. I'm going to go make something very unhealthy so I can tell my team that they should be good.
Everybody, if you take anything, forget all the intelligent stuff we've talked about. Have some food. It's nighttime. It's not going to help your body, but eat it. Go eat food right now.
PBR and a steak. Oh, and eat right for your blood type. Very interesting. It'll change your entire life. Apparently, I shouldn't be eating chicken, so I'm going to go on the all beef and pork diet. We'll see how it does.
Mine's all bacon. I'm typo negative. Bacon all the way.
My girlfriend Natalie is also O positive, and so she can't eat beef, which has gotten this funny thing. Like, we're becoming the Jack Sprat, eat no fat, his wife could eat no lean. She's not supposed to eat beef. I'm not supposed to eat chicken. So we're like,
pork.
Oh, pork? Yeah. Should we just eat pork all the time? Turn Hawaiian? Whatever. Fuck it. We'll give it a shot.
Pork for her, bacon for you.
Well, I think I'm gonna make ribs, like ribs and salmon. We'll just alternate ribs and salmon every day for the rest of my life. But I had this really nice rotisserie, like chicken. I have like a full-blown rotisserie thing, and I make, again, I don't brag about myself, but I make probably the best rotisserie chicken you've ever had, and I'm not allowed to eat it. So I'll just make her chicken, and I'll ask her to make me a steak, and then I think we can.
I made a bomb-ass steak tonight. I went and just a steak for me, my daughter, my girl, just three. Just give me 3 steaks. Went to this great butcher, salted it, so let it sit for 45 minutes in the salt.
You actually went to a butcher?
Yeah. Nice. Give me that steak right there. That looks beautiful.
People out there that don't, if you've never actually been to a butcher to pick out your meat, give it a shot. Dry aged steak.
Mm-hmm. I want that one. That's what I want. I pan-seared it. I cooked that bitch for like a few minutes. And then the onions and some Worcestershire and butter afterwards, and just fresh parsley. I got a parsley plant right there. I picked it up. It was still alive when I ate it, and that was phenomenal. It was so good. It was so juicy. Just you gotta let it sit for like 40-45 minutes, room temperature, with the pink Himalayan sea salt on it.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Oh my God, it was so wet. It made me wet.
That, I tell you what, steak. When I lived in Texas, I was a very grill. You got to grill it, and you got to put the Worcestershire and all that. Now that I'm out here, like, I actually read, and I had a guy cook a steak right in front of me that does this professionally, and showed me, like, if you want it really good, pan-sear it on each side, nothing but olive oil, salt, and pepper. Pan-sear it, throw it in the oven for a few minutes, get it crispy, and that's it. I have the cast iron skillet, just pan-seared it both sides in the oil and the salt, and then I put pepper on it while it was in the cast iron skillet because pepper will burn if you put it on beforehand. For me,
just locked in the loveliness. That was it. Every time I cut into that flesh of an animal that I did not kill, but I ate, screw you, PETA, it tasted so good. And you know what? The iron in my blood right now is just pumping because I'm a man and I ate steak and I'm drinking a nasty-ass beer. All's good.
You're going to have some good sex tonight.
No.
Not so much your woman, but you are going to really have some. Sorry to say that. Sorry, I'm not a misogynist. Just had to get that one out there.
I'm going to do the self-high five.
That's so the way that I've been taught to do it. So like just the steak itself, let it rest. So big point, and I don't know why we're doing cooking tips on this show, but it's we've got to put it out there. If you're a man, if you have testicles, you need to know how to make a good steak. Let it rest. Meat should be at room temperature whenever you cook it. Any meat, no matter what kind of meat it is, it should be at room temperature. Never, ever, 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 you green bastard, take meat directly from a refrigerator and put it into an oven or on a skillet, whatever. Let it sit. Let it get to room temperature. Marinate it in some olive oil, salt, pepper, maybe a little garlic. I like to rub garlic into mine because I'm a fucking wop, and that's how we do it. For me, I get a skillet super hot, big cast iron skillet, super hot. Throw it in there. Maybe 2 minutes on each side, but I have the oven on broil, and I broil it for another probably 3 to 5 minutes, depending on how much blood I want to eat while I do it. And then I pull it out, put it down. Just as important is making sure the meat's at room temperature. Let it rest. Doesn't matter if it's steak, chicken, pork, whatever it is. Any meat, when I pull it out of the oven or the skillet, whatever, you got to let it rest for a few minutes because that's when everything kind of settles and you get everything nice and even. If you cut into it too quickly, it's going to dry out, right? So that's where you gotta let it sit for a few minutes. And that's I fucking love eating.
You did that with like a roast, a big chunk of meat like that, pan seared it, and then put in the oven, and that was the same thing. Crusty on the outside, seasoned salt, and then you cut into it. Okay, it's a little dark brown, it's a little lighter brown. Oh, it's pink. Oh, look, it's still beating right in the center. And then there was the sauce, like the dipping sauce that put in. It was like a wine-based sauce or something like that. Oh, my God. I think it might have just been some cooked blood that I dipped it in. It was phenomenal. We got to go. I'm going to go eat the leftover.
Well, so when you talk about the blood leftover, just for a little, as you're letting steak rest, you can take the blood goodness that's still in the skillet, throw a little red wine in there, some heavy cream, some shallots, and let it kind of all simmer together, maybe a little more garlic, maybe some sea salt and some pepper, and you create what's called a red wine reduction, which is that like creamy, winey sauce that some places will put on your steak. For me, I like sucking on the blood. I pretend like I'm Dracula when I eat steak. Some people like it to be a little bit creamier and whatever, and so they'll put that reduction on there. But for guys out there, and also like I wrote an Iron Mike, ironmikemag.com. I wrote an article about my bacon-wrapped chorizo stuffed dates.
Mm-hmm.
I actually brought them out on Friday night for like a company event, but I was there with my girlfriend and her kids. And I tell you what, the proof is in the pudding. For guys, like that's why I started writing those things on ironmikemag.com. Those recipes, they're there for other guys that want to like quick, easy, I don't know shit about cooking, but I want to impress somebody that's very special to me in my life. Every recipe that I made, that's exactly what it's there for, so that you don't have to know shit about cooking. You don't have to have a whole lot of time, but if you can spend $50 and take maybe an hour to cook whatever, except the Cuban stuff I wrote about took a longer time. But like the bacon-wrapped chorizo stuffed dates, the jalapeno and cheese bacon-wrapped shrimp, there's a lot of stuff that I have in there that's very simple, very easy, and if you're a guy, it will, I tell you what, like women love it for a guy that can cook. If you can cook, like you got it. That's it. Just be, be good at it and enjoy it, and they love it. So that's all those recipes that I put on ironmikemag.com. They're there to kind of help guys out. If you have that, like, shit, we're going on a date tonight, and you can go to a nice restaurant and drop $100, and yeah, they kind of like it. But I tell you what, you could spend $30 to $50 and do it at your house, and wow, it just blows. Women just love that. They just love it, and it's just something about that like sensitive guy. So check out those recipes on ironmikemag.com and give them a shot because they are a lot of fun. I don't think I ever wrote about steak. Jay writes a lot about booze.
Yeah,
and that's another good one. If you can get a girl a nice drink and then make her a great meal, you're in. You're in. It really shows a lot about a guy because you care enough to actually make sure that that's a good experience.
Yeah, man, I'm still hungry though. I'm not gonna have a drink. I'm gonna
Somehow we went from Nazi conspiracies to how to make a steak.
Yeah. Hitler to steak. You know, that's everybody.
I'm not going to make that connection. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to get blasted.
We did it, though. We're amazing.
Yeah, we did do it.
Me too.
All right. So on that note, all you fat bastards, go cook a steak. Enjoy your bacon-wrapped chorizo stuffed days. Check out ironmikemag.com for drink recipes from Silent J, food recipes from me. Enjoy it. Please join us next Sunday. Again, if you want to know where to find us, you might be listening to us on vetsonmedia.com. You might be on iTunes or podcast or on YouTube or Gmail. Wherever you are, remember every Sunday, 10:30 Eastern Standard Time, 7:30 Pacific Standard Time. You can follow us live. All you got to do is look up Cinemaster Robin Silent J on Gmail. Get into our circles and just add us on Gmail, and you get the updates when we do record this. But it's 7:30 Pacific Standard, 10:30 Eastern Standard. You can actually interact with us live as we record this online via Google Hangouts, or the next day, Monday, Tuesday, any other day of the week. You can pick this up on YouTube or iTunes or Podbean or vetsonmedia.com, any other place out there. So to throw out some other shameless plugs, make sure you check out technical16.com. Make sure you check out ironmikemag.com, lovemewhenimgone.com, farfromcenter.com. What else am I leaving out?
I think that's good.
Right.
You did it. You got it.
There's got to be another one in there, right? There's another one, and somebody's going to send me some hate mail for forgetting them, and I'm sorry in advance, but I got steak on the brain, so we got to go. So everybody, for Center Master Robin Silent J, I'm Rob.
I am Silent J, and I'm hungry.
I am hungry as hell, so don't forget, don't fire unless fired upon. Stand your ground, but if they mean to have a war, let it begin here. Peace out, bitches. We're out. See you next week.
Yeah.